Hey everyone, welcome back to K-Korner, the channel where we dive into the wild world of entitled people and their unbelievable stories. Hope you enjoy it, and without further ado, let's go. So a little bit of context. I'm a 23-year-old male who currently works at a party city. It's currently July, but this little incident happened back in early November right after Halloween ended. I was still relatively new at the time. On about November 1st or 2nd, I was the opening cashier, and it was a very slow morning. All the hype from Halloween had finally died down, so it was nice to just relax for a little bit. My managers were changing the seasonal aisle and removing all the props and animatronics by the front window. While that was happening, I was checking out a couple of customers after a short line had formed. It wasn't until the last woman in line that the event occurred. She was an old, shorter woman with a pixie cut, if I remember correctly, and she initially was acting all giddy about the animatronics being taken down because she said it looked like the managers were talking to them. I chuckled along with her, and we were having a mildly good time. She then tells me that she would like to make a short return, a small pack of eyebrow or maybe eyeliner makeup. Here's where it went wrong. Party City doesn't do returns for makeup supplies for obvious reasons, especially anything relating to the eyes. When I politely told her in my customer service politeness that we couldn't return it, her giddy face immediately pulled a complete 180, and I think she even growled or something. It kind of threw me off guard because of how suddenly she had changed. I'm going to be honest, I can't entirely remember the whole conversation, but it went along the lines of this. K. Scowling angrily, "What do you mean, C? I'm sorry, but that's makeup, and we can't do returns for makeup." She then started complaining and even pointing her semi-wrinkly finger at me, but I don't remember what she said. I do recall being a little startled and confused. C. Flustered, "Well, I'm sorry ma'am, but it's just store policy." K. Aggressively grabs her items and throws the classic line, "Never coming back here again." Then, I think she said something about how Party City is going under, but to this day, I still have no idea what she was talking about. Afterward, when I was helping the following customers, a few more guests had arrived as she was leaving. I was just casually explaining what had just happened to laugh it off and calm myself down, as I had gotten a little choked up. If I had as much experience as I have now, I definitely would have handled that much more efficiently. We even have an orange sign in front of every register explaining what items cannot be returned. It wasn't the first time I had to deal with a difficult customer in retail, but it was the first one at this store, and I just wasn't expecting it at all. It was like a 2-minute interaction, but when it was over, the only thing I was thinking was, did that really just happen? Standard retail stuff, I know. But I'm hoping it turned into a fun story. This is a small bit of mischief that happened years ago, but to this day, it's still one of my favorite stories to tell. There needs to be a bit of context for you to understand the beauty of what happened. I was in a traditional kung fu school for 9 years. My teacher, known as Sifu, was one of the most honest and respectable men I've ever known. In this school, there was certain etiquette you had to follow out of both respect for the art and your fellow students. We had practices like bowing before entering doorways, always facing north to take off our sash, and similar customs. Keep in mind that we weren't just teaching students here. We fostered a family and treated one another as if we were all brothers and sisters. One of the rules was that men wore their sashes on the right, while women wore their sashes on the left. I am a transgender male, and my Sifu was one of very few people who knew this. I also present very androgynously. My Sifu and I talked about it when I came out to him because I was concerned about how it would affect the etiquette of the school. We both agreed that neither of us cared how I wore my sash, so I just kept it on the left out of habit. It was a very friendly conversation. At my school, we did a traditional performance every year for Chinese New Year called a lion head dance. If you look it up online, it's both intriguing and hilarious to watch because it's essentially two people underneath a large, fluffy papier-mâché lion. We would do this for restaurants, schools, or event centers. We even got to perform for the Chinese consulate at one time. Basically, one person is in the head of the lion, while the other operates the tail, and we work together to cleanse the space to ensure a year of good fortune for the establishment and scare away evil spirits. Everyone always loved these events, and they were some of the most fun performances I had ever done. There were drums, dancing firecrackers, the whole deal. I was almost always in a lion with my Sifu because we made a surprisingly good team. One year, we went to a little Chinese restaurant that hired us to do our usual performance. We got there, set up, laid out the equipment, and began stretching before the performance. This performance involved one lion, with me in the tail, and my Sifu in the head. As we were talking and getting ready, the owner of the establishment suddenly walked over to my Sifu and me with the most disappointed look on his face. My Sifu asked if everything was all right, and this guy just started in on my Sifu through gritted teeth. He originally asked why I was standing there. My Sifu, while confused, said that I was his tail for the night. The owner said that this was highly disrespectful because a woman shouldn't be in the performance and should never be in the lion. My Sifu, now with a deadpan look on his face, chuckled and basically said, "We don't live in the days of Chinese dynasties anymore, sir. This is my student. I am their teacher, and they are more than welcome to perform and represent my school." The owner kept on going about how it was disrespectful to the culture, and how I shouldn't even be in the show because I was female. My Sifu looked back at me, then at the owner, got a cheeky little grin on his face and said, "No problem." He turned to me, grabbed my sash, twisted it to my right side, bowed, and addressed me as Didi, meaning younger brother, before turning back to the owner. The owner had the most shocked and appalled look on his face, and it took everything I had not to just burst out laughing. The owner huffed, told us to just do the show, and stormed off. And just as a little cherry on top of this interaction, I went to get into the tail, and my Sifu stopped me, motioning for me to get into the head of the lion. So I got to lead the show that night, and the owner just had to sit back and deal with the fact that he didn't get his way by throwing a sexist fit. The year after, we got hired by the same restaurant. Instead of rejecting it, my Sifu made absolutely sure that the performance that night involved all female students. The owner didn't say a word. I never thought I'd have a story like this to tell, but here goes. It happened about 5 years ago when I was just a teenager. My mom and I were at the beach enjoying a nice day out. We'd spent hours swimming and sunbathing, and now we were at the beach showers, rinsing off the salt and sand. There was nothing special about us. I mean, we were just your average beachgoers. I was wearing a plain bikini, my skin tanned from the sun. My mom looked pretty much the same, just older. We weren't doing anything out of the ordinary, just minding our own business. I remember noticing a tour bus pulling up in the parking lot. It wasn't unusual to see tourists around here, but something about this group caught my eye. They all looked so out of place. They were decked out in designer clothes from head to toe, sporting these wild hairstyles that looked straight out of an old movie. And those hats, I swear, some of them were wearing sun hats big enough to block out the sun for half the beach. At first, I didn't think much of it. Tourists often dressed a bit funny, right? But then things got weird, really weird. This huge group of tourists started heading our way. And when I say heading our way, I mean they were coming at us like a stampede. Before I knew what was happening, we were surrounded. Me, "Mom, what's going on, Mom?" "I don't know, honey, just stay close." But staying close wasn't easy. These people were pushing and shoving, all trying to get closer to us. And then the cameras came out. Suddenly, there were flashes going off everywhere. They were taking pictures of us. Tourist 1. Look, get a picture. Tourist 2, over here. Stand next to them. I couldn't believe what was happening. We were literally being treated like some kind of tourist attraction. I tried to grab my towel and dry off, thinking maybe if I covered up they'd back off. But nope, that just seemed to make them more excited. As I tried to walk away, things got even crazier. These people started grabbing at me. They were pulling my arms, trying to make me pose with them for pictures. It was like I wasn't even a person to them, just some prop for their vacation photos. Me. "Stop, please, let go of me," but they didn't seem to hear me. Or if they did, they didn't care. They just kept chattering away in a language I didn't understand, pulling me this way and that. I looked around for my mom, hoping she could help, but she had managed to get out of the crowd. I could see her a little way off, looking panicked and trying to get back to me. "Mom," shouting, "let go of my daughter." Her words fell on deaf ears. The tourists were in their own world, completely oblivious to how uncomfortable and scared I was feeling. I knew I had to get out of there. Taking a deep breath, I decided to make a run for it. I pushed past a couple of tourists, ignoring their surprised yelps, and started sprinting towards my mom's car. "Me, Mom, the car." I saw her nod and start running too. We reached the car, jumped in, and locked the doors. The group of tourists looked confused, some of them still holding up their cameras as if expecting us to come back out for more pictures. "Mom, are you okay, honey?" "Me, yeah, I think so. Just, what was that all about, Mom?" "I have no idea. I've never seen anything like it." We sat there for a while, catching our breath and trying to process what had just happened. It was so surreal. I mean, I get that we might look different from what they're used to, but we were in our own country. Shouldn't they be the ones feeling out of place, Mom? Maybe they thought we were celebrities or something. "Me, Mom, we're the most boring-looking people ever. What kind of celebrities would we be?" We both laughed at that, the tension finally starting to break. As we drove home, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I've heard stories about tourists behaving badly, but I never thought I'd experience it firsthand. It was like they forgot we were real people with feelings and personal space. The whole incident left me feeling confused and a bit violated. I mean, who just grabs a stranger and starts taking pictures without even asking? It's not like I was some rare animal in a zoo. We were just normal people trying to enjoy a day at the beach. For weeks after, I found myself looking over my shoulder whenever I went to the beach. It took a while before I felt comfortable showering there again. The memory of all those hands grabbing at me, all those camera flashes going off in my face, it stuck with me. I tried to make sense of it. Maybe they came from a place where people who looked like us were rare, but even then, that's no excuse for treating someone like a circus attraction. It's basic human decency to ask before taking someone's picture, let alone manhandling them. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Not just at those specific tourists, but at the whole idea that some people think it's okay to treat others that way just because they're on vacation. Like, somehow being in a different country gives you a pass to forget all your manners. I remember talking to my friends about it later. They were as shocked as I was. Enjoying the stories yet? If you do, please subscribe, like, and comment. I'm a 21-year-old female living with my mom, 56 years old, and my sister, 25 years old. I work part-time and clean houses on my days off to cover my expenses for school, rent, and other necessities. Currently, I have managed to save up around $12,000. While my mom and sister have well-paying jobs, they struggle with budgeting and have poor spending habits. Recently, I discovered that my hidden safe, cleverly disguised as a book, had gone missing. To protect my savings from my mom and sister, who had previously taken money from me on 2 separate occasions, I had stashed my cash in this secret safe. Although I forgave them in the past, I'm not naive enough to think they wouldn't do it again. To ensure evidence, I purposely marked each bill by bending the right-hand corner, taking pictures and videos of the bent bills, the safe, and the numbers on some of the bills. To my dismay, I found the broken safe discarded in the garage bin, covered with a piece of cardboard. Coincidentally, on that day, my cousin, 24 years old, had visited, and I noticed her carrying a piece of cardboard, which turned out to be from a ginger ale box, while my mom and sister were already outside. I had just entered the kitchen to wash my hands after getting off the bus, and planned to shower as soon as I got home to minimize any potential exposure to COVID. I became suspicious and decided to check my mom's and sister's wallets, where I found the bills with the bent corners. Gathering photographic and video evidence, I formulated a plan to confront them. The following day, when our extended family gathered at my aunt's house, we were all engaged in conversation. I took the opportunity to ask my cousin about the cardboard incident at my mom's house involving her and my sister. She claimed they were spray painting some frames for my mom's furniture refurbishing hobby. I accepted her explanation and went to retrieve my bag containing the broken safe, along with my mom's and sister's wallets. Returning to the gathering, I dropped the broken safe in front of my cousin, who seemed surprised but remained silent. Then I turned to my sister and confronted her, stating that she definitely knew what it was. Everyone's attention was now on us. Displaying the gathered pictures and videos, I even opened their wallets, revealing my money with the bent corners. One particular picture clearly showed the numbers on the bills that matched the ones in their wallets. My cousin's mom immediately admonished her daughter for stealing from family, leaving most of the family speechless. However, my mom, sister, and cousin attempted to defend themselves. At that point, I generously announced that I wouldn't involve the police immediately, but instead gave them a month to repay what they owed me. I also made it clear that I would be moving out. I apologized to my aunt for the inconvenience caused and returned home, promptly installing a lock and chain on my bedroom door. As an update, I've decided to open a savings account and get a credit card on Monday to better manage my finances. In a positive turn of events, my aunt, who hosted the family gathering, personally reimbursed me for the money my mom and sister took. She has given them additional time to repay her and has prepared a contract to pursue legal action if necessary. Understanding the stress this situation has caused me, my aunt discouraged me from filing a police report and assured me that she would handle it. Furthermore, my other aunt, my cousin's mom, contacted me again and informed me that she will be selling my cousin's iPad, Nintendo Switch, and games to help repay me by the end of the month. For the time being, I am staying in my friend's basement until I find a more permanent living arrangement. My friend's parents have kindly offered me a reduced rent, and I plan to reciprocate by baking cupcakes and cakes for them occasionally. Working at a candy store with a strict policy allowing only service animals, I had become well-versed in discerning legitimate service animals from mere pets. This knowledge was particularly important to me since my late dog, Bella, had been a service dog for my mother. I had taken the time to educate myself on the intricacies of ADA laws, enabling me to easily identify genuine service animals and spot the ones that were falsely claimed. Dealing with individuals attempting to pass off fake service animals was something I took very seriously, and my patience wore thin when they insisted on arguing with me. Today, a lady entered the store, cradling her dog in a blanket. Instantly, I recognized that it wasn't a service dog. "Excuse me, ma'am, but we only allow service dogs in the store," I informed her. "She is a service dog," she retorted defensively. Curious, I asked, "Then what specific tasks does she perform?" "Emotional support," she replied. Regretfully, I explained, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but emotional support animals are not protected by the ADA and are not considered service animals. I'm unable to serve you." Furious, she erupted into a fit of rage, hurling threats to sue me and summon the authorities. My response remained firm. For what? Refusing service to someone who is falsely claiming their pet as a service animal? Just so you know, in X state, that carries a civil penalty fine of up to $250 each time. Feel free to call the police. I'll be right here. Silenced by my firm stance, she left the store in a huff. Thankfully, the situation de-escalated without further incident. P.S. It is essential to remember that non-pet-friendly stores are not appropriate places to bring untrained pets. Moreover, falsely representing a pet as a service animal only creates additional challenges for those who genuinely rely on them. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more captivating stories. Share your own experiences and opinions in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay tuned for more epic tales.